Tanya, welcome to the first lesson of your Search to and Skills for Work. And can you tell me first up a little bit about why you wanted to enrol in this particular course?
So I finished year 12 last year, which I had a part-time job working at the local pool in the canteen. And since I finished school, I have been learning how to become a learner student teacher and a qualified lifeguard. I really enjoyed working in this industry and thought that getting my cert in sport and recreation would help give me more qualifications in this area.
Okay, excellent, good. All right, now as we discussed at your enrolment, you are a little bit late in coming into the start of this course, so a few weeks behind where everyone else is. So to make sure that you're comfortable with going forward in the course, what we've decided to do is give you a couple of one-on-one sessions to catch you up, okay? Is that okay? Yeah. So the last thing we want you to do is walk into a lesson with 20 other kids and feel a little bit overwhelmed because you don't have the content behind you. Okay, so we'll go through probably 2 or 3 of these one-on-one sessions and then you'll be up to date with everybody else and we can join in with the rest of the cohort. Does that sound like a plan? A good way to support you? Mm-hmm. Excellent. All right. So the first unit of competency that we're going to be working on is maintaining sport, fitness and recreation industry knowledge. So that's about making sure you understand what is required in our industry and being up to date and competent in that area. Okay, so the first topic in that unit of competency that we're going to be looking at is the economic benefit of sport and rec industry. Okay, so first up, let's see, what do we think economic means? What are we referring to?
Like the cost side of things?
Yeah, so the money. So we want to look at the benefits of it. So who initially do you think is going to benefit from the sport and rec industry?
Businesses?
Yep, so businesses that run, so like the place where you work with your pool, that's their industry, their owners are going to work with that, okay? So we've got the businesses, potentially you as an employee, you're getting an economic a benefit from it, aren't you? Because you're getting paid to be part of that industry, okay? So we're going to look at the different ways that the sport and rec industry can provide an economic benefit, okay? Do you think it can provide economic benefit outside of just the sport and rec industry?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it links in with lots of other ones. Yep, awesome. All right, so learning and test success criteria, this is just giving us an idea of what we're going to cover today, and hopefully by the end of today's lesson, you should be able to tell me all of these things. So what the industry encompasses, what the economic benefit is, and potentially careers, because obviously careers link with money and economic benefit. Yep, sound good? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, so just to help you out, you'll see that there's little icons up at the top of all of our PowerPoints. So a lot of the information that I'm going to give you is going to be onto your PowerPoint, okay? So the little icon up here can give you a bit of a clue as to what I want you to do with that information, okay? So this one says, listen then write. So basically we want to have a little bit of a conversation about it. And I then let's sort of say, I think you should write this down because it might help you with your assessment and that sort of stuff, okay? So there's 4 different icons. There's one that just has our little set of ears on it. That means you just have to listen, okay? There's another one that has a lot of people working together. That's our group work one. And there's another one that is just one person working. That's our independent work. So this can be really beneficial, especially when you get back up into the classes with lots of people. So if you miss something or if I'm working with somebody else, this might give you a bit of a clue as to what you need to be doing with that particular group of information, okay? So basically this is just giving us a definition of what the sport and rec industry is. So it's a diverse industry, it covers lots of different activities, from competitive sport to just people going out and keeping fit, alright? So it includes activities, organisation, facilities and people involved in the promotion, support, delivery of sport and physical recreation across the country. Okay, so lots of different categories. Other than the swimming industry, what's another category for sport and rec that you might be involved in? So is there any other sports that you play?
Touch.
Yeah, so touch, and you play that at a club, or is it just fun?
I play for a club.
Yep, okay, so there's a club there that's part of the sport and rec industry. Okay, so we can link it to health, social life, and economic benefit for Australians. Okay, so just because our icon is up here, you need to take some notes down on there. You can summarise that if you like, but make sure you've got the gist of that down. Okay. finished, and then we can move on to the next little section. Good. Okay, no questions about that? No? Awesome. Okay, so we're going to look at what it encompasses. So the first part that we can look at is professional and community sport. Okay, so you like your touch club, all right? So under that category, we have a couple of different types. So we've got elite and professional sports, we've got community sports clubs, and state and national sporting organisations. Okay, so can I get you to write that down? And while you're writing it down, I want you to have a think of what you would think fits into those categories. So you might tell me an example of an elite or professional sports team or a competition. Okay, you might tell me something about a club in your community, and then a state or national sporting body or organisation that you might know about. Okay? Right, so you've got some examples. What elite or professional sports might we think of straight off the head? Excellent. So NRL, national, international as well, because it goes to New Zealand. Okay, and looking at Papua New Guinea in the near future as well. So elite professional sports go. Community sports club.
The netball club here.
Yep. So the netball club here in Gander. Very good. Just people socially playing. Yeah. Cool. State and national sporting organisations.
The Olympics.
Yeah, potentially. Anything else? So you talked about being involved in swimming. Is there a governing sort of body?
Like wide-based sports.
Yeah. State and national. We've got Queensland swimming. What else do we have about Queensland swimming?
National.
Yep, Australian swimming. Okay, so they're organisations and governing bodies. Alright, so that's the professional and sporting community. Alright, we have recreational activities. So we can do things outdoors. We can have fitness and gym culture and adventure and leisure. Can you think of any activities locally that fit into those categories?
Touch is play outside.
Yep. Okay, so something that's maybe not quite so structured in the teams.
Like going to the gym.
Yeah, so that would fit into here. So there's a local gym here. What's it called? Do you know?
Crossbar fitness.
Raise the bar fitness, I think is what it actually is, but that's okay. So outdoor activities might be things like parkrun. Okay, so they're just people out doing going for a walk, playing golf, that sort of stuff. What about adventure and leisure?
Like going to a pool fun.
Yeah, going to the pool. We've also got the rail trail, so there's a lot of people who hike and cycle on those as well. Very good. You write down your examples. Alright, so while you're doing that, we can move on to the next one. We've got sports services and support. So, probably not a lot to add into this. We might just talk about whether there's any of it in our industry, in our area. So, coaches, officiating, sports medicine and physiotherapy. Is there any of those in our local area?
Yeah.
Yep. So, what examples have we got?
There's a physio.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There's coaches for like the touch teams and netball teams and that.
Yep. Excellent. Rugby league.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. What about event management and sports marketing? Do we have any of that sort of stuff locally?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like netball hosts an event, that's why I have someone to manage it and make sure it's all on.
Yep. Excellent. Very good. What about facility management, stadiums, leisure centres, and sporting fields?
We have a sports field down there.
Yep. So do you know who manages those?
The council.
Yeah, so they actually have a sport rec officer who manages all of those facilities. Excellent, very good. All right, infrastructure and facilities. So local council, you've already given us some examples. What are some other things that they sort of manage for us locally?
Like they do the rubbish pickup around town.
Yeah, more so sport and rec industry sort of thing. So we talked about sports fields. Is there any other places, sport and rec industry wise, that they sort of help to manage?
Oh, the river walk.
Yep. The river walk park runs. What else?
Tennis courts.
What about the local pool that you work at?
They mow around the pool so it stays nice and tidy.
Yeah, so it's a combination between the lessees and the council. So it's council owning the facility. The lessees run it for them. Okay. National stadiums. Know of any of those?
In Gaynor?
Not in Gaynor, nationally.
Like the pool in Brisbane, like Tiana.
Yeah.
What's that? I can't remember.
So the Chandler Aquatic Centre.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Thinking a bit more bigger. That made no sense. But you know, we talked about NRL.
Right.
What are some of their stadiums that they might use?
Seagrass in the
Yep.
Gold Coast.
Yep.
Sunhawk in Brisbane.
Very good. All right. What about recreational infrastructure? So things that might be here locally that the council might take care of.
The Riverwalk.
Yep. Riverwalk is one. What else?
The parks area.
Yep. Anything else?
No.
Yep. Potentially the weir. Okay, so that's a good spot for skiing, fishing, all of those sort of things. The council takes care of all of that as well. Okay? Alright, so economic contribution. According to Sport Australia, there's $14 billion comes from sport and rec annually into the Australian economy. Okay, so that's a pretty big number, $14 billion. So it's got a fairly large benefit to all of us. Alright? Employment, over 220,000 people work in the industry, and this includes indirect benefits to things like tourism, retail, hospitality, and the health sector. Okay, so what they're saying is these things can indirectly benefit from people being involved in the sport and rec industry. Okay, so I'm doing something that's sport and rec related, but there's sometimes a flow on into some of these other areas. Okay. Is there anything that you've done lately, the sport and rec industry, that sort of has had a flow-on effect for other industries, allied industries?
Recently I went to the Gold Coast to watch an NRL game. And so to travel there, when we got there, we had to stay somewhere, so we're helping the hospitality industry.
Yep.
And then we also had to eat there, so we had to help the food industry.
Yeah. So basically, we've looked at tourism and hospitality, just one activity that you've done just recently. So how many people do you reckon were at the Tigers at the game?
Around 15,000.
Yeah, okay, so probably potentially a lot of those people had to support those other industries as well. How many people do you think were there at the game in some sort of supporter gear?
A lot of them.
Yeah. So which industry is also getting a benefit from that?
Retail.
Yeah, why?
Because you got to purchase it to make it.
Yeah, you got to purchase it. I want to be part of my team. I'm going to go and pay for it. So the sports shop where you're buying from is getting some industry, some economic benefit as well. Okay. So what I want you to do very quickly, choose two of those. Okay, indirect benefits listed above, and explain how the sport and rec industry has an indirect benefit to those industries. Okay, so you might want to pick your tourism one and retail one as an example, or if you want to go into health, something along those lines. So do that very quickly for me. Alright, do you want to read that out to me, what you wrote?
So I was going to use going to the NRL game. So retail, I wanted to be a part of the team. So I went out and I bought a supporter shirt. So I supported the retail. And while I was there, I got hungry, so I went and bought food. So I supported the hospitality side.
Yeah, excellent, very good. Alright, so we talked retail, we talked tourism and hospitality. What about the health sector? How do you think going to do for me in terms of my health?
It makes it a healthy and fit person.
Makes me healthier and fitter. If I'm healthy and fitter, do you think I'm going to the doctor more often or less often? Less often. So if we can remove some of the stress on the health system by people being more healthy, then they can save in that area as well. Okay? So it's looking at lots of economic contribution to all sorts of different areas. Alright? Very good. Alright, so now we're going to have a look at careers in the sport and rec industry. Alright, so professional and sport roles. So we're just listening to this one, you don't have to write it down, we'll just have some conversation about it. So what do you think might be professional and support roles?
Could be an NRL player.
Yep. Anything else?
An Olympic swimmer.
Yep. Very good. Alright, so under there we can have career path, we can have an athlete, we can have a coach or trainer, we can have a sports official, exercise science and physiotherapist, and a sports psychologist, okay? So competing professionally, AFL, working with those teams in the community. Do they have to be elite?
No.
No? Why not?
Because they can train anyone.
Yeah, okay, so you don't have to be training elite people. Do you run learn to swim lessons? Do you run squad lessons at your workplace?
Yes.
Yep. Does the person who's doing the coaching, do they get paid for that? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so are they big kids, little kids?
They range from different ages.
Yeah. Are they elite?
No.
No. Okay, so even though they're not elite, they're still getting paid. It's still a career path, isn't it? Yep, very good. Okay, so we've got referees, umpires, judges in various sports. We've got people who support our health and recovery and performance. And we've got people who manage mental pressure and enhance focus. Alright? Can you think of any of these places, any of these pathways that are available within our local community and explain their role to me?
A coach and trainer who like touch and swimming and netball, an athlete, like all the club activities that we make.
Yeah, athlete, do they get paid?
No.
No, so there's probably not a career path at a local level, but is there any of these other ones that we have at a local level? People who like paid work to work in that industry?
Physiotherapist.
Yeah, we have a physiotherapist who is here in town. Alright, very good. So that's one possible career path. And next one is management and administration. So what might that involve?
Like doing all the paperwork to get people to do school.
Yeah, awesome. Alright, so we have someone who is a sports administrator, okay, managing clubs, leagues, state, national sporting bodies, event coordinator, so planning sports tournaments and community events, marketing and media officer, so promoting the team sports, managing social media and handling public relations, and a facility manager, oversee day-to-day operations of gyms, pools, or stadiums. So again, can you think of any career paths, again, paid work, that are available within our local community, and explain them to me?
Like a facility manager, so the council looks after the pool and they get paid to do that.
Yep. Who else works at the pool?
The people that are leasing it.
Yeah, okay, so that's one. Yeah, facility manager. Any other facility managers that might be around?
The person that owns the gym.
Yeah, okay, person who owns the gym, so he's going to maintain that. Yeah, very good. What about, we talked earlier about the council having someone who is a sport and rec officer. Do you think that would fit into this sort of category?
Yeah.
Yeah, which one of those?
Probably a bit of everything.
Yeah, bit of everything. Okay, bit of administration, managing the facilities, bit of coordination, planning the tournaments and planning with the clubs who are going to be using those things, bit of marketing, bit of facility managing. Yeah, excellent, very good. Alright, recreation and community roles, what do you think that might be?
Like the community who participate in it.
Yeah, okay. Is this likely to be paid work, or do you think there might be some unpaid work in this as well? Yeah, who might they be? Parents, volunteers, people who are running clubs, okay? So we've got recreation officer, runs community fitness programs with youth or seniors, outdoor guiding and instruction, so lead recreational activities like hiking, kayaking and rock climbing, and PE teachers or sports educators, so teachers who teach physical education in sport or TAFE or universities, okay? So again, which one of these, we're going to focus on the paid work because we're talking about the economic benefit, which one of these?
Like a PE teacher.
Yeah, so So where do you have most of those? Where do you find those?
School.
Yeah, at your local school. Any of these other ones?
Mainly in outdoor guide.
Yeah. For what?
For like hiking and taking people on trails.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Okay. So what I want you to do now is I want you to have a think about what your pathway is that you want to do in this area, and give us a bit of a spiel about which one of those areas that it's going to fit into. Okay.
A sports educator, because I'll be teaching kids how to swim.
Okay. Yeah. Anything else?
An instructor, so it'd be like teaching people how to do it. And instructing them how to do it.
Yeah. Good. All right. So if we flick back to, I'll do it this way, it'll be a bit quicker. If we flick back to our first, one of our first slides that talked about our aim for today's lesson. Okay. The criteria was going to be identify the key elements of the sport and rec industry. All right. I'm going to give you a little paper, which is a piece of paper, which is going to be our exit ticket. All right. What I want you to do is write down an answer to each one of those questions. All right.
So that directly relates to me, or?
From what we talked about today. So what have we talked? We talked about what are the compasses. So what things did we talk about? What have we talked about in terms of economic benefit? Can be direct or indirect. You can remember the amount we write that down. And then some of the career paths that are available in that particular option in the sport and rec industry.
What it encompasses is like what it takes to do it.
Yeah, so what it's made up of. So we talked about there's professional athletes, there's the outdoor group, support staff, all of those things that we talked about.
So for the first one, I had like it can have pro athletes, but also like just recreational people and like the sports staff that help you do it and make sure it runs smoothly.
Yeah.
The second one.
So was there anything else? So if we click through, is there any other ones? So we've got professional community sport. Yep. We have recreational activities. You have support staff. Is there another one? Infrastructure. Yeah, okay, because we've got to have those to be able to go out and do our activity. We've got to make sure that they're maintained, otherwise it's not safe and that sort of thing. Okay? Alright, so that's that one. If we go back. So we've done that one, so we can tick that one off. What about economic benefit? Explain to me the key elements or what that sort of means.
Well, I think you said there was $14 million from like Sports Australia, so it's like a lot of money put into people to be able to do sports.
Okay, so that's what's being made of that sport and rec industry. Okay, so people be participating in clubs, supporting teams, going to venues, all of that sort of stuff. Yep. Anything else about economic benefit that you can remember?
It can be direct or indirect, so you can do it without knowing as well.
Yeah, okay, so what would we call a direct benefit?
Like when you're directly helping one thing.
So give us an example.
Like I go to play touch, so I'm helping support the touch club.
Yep. You had to pay to be part of it, paid some registration, insurance, all that sort of stuff. Good, so that's a direct. Give me two indirect ones.
For touch, they have dinner supplied there, so I'm supporting the food industry. And they offer at the pool, they offer things for you to buy, so you're supporting the retail industry. Yeah, cool, very good. All right, so when we flick through to economic benefits, we talked about the amount, $14 billion, well done. And then we talked about employment. Okay, so that's a big
benefit as well. And then we had our indirect ones. So we had tourism, retail, hospitality, and health sections. Excellent, very good. Let's click back to our success criteria again. And careers. What do we talk about?
You can help you become a teacher, or in my case, I can become a learner swim teacher and teach you those swim project.
Yeah, okay. Can you remember the categories we sort of put those careers into?
There's admin and
Yep.
administration.
Yeah. Okay, let's click through. Let's have a look at it again. We can have professional and sport roles. We can have our management and admin, which is good. And then we had our recreation and community roles, PE teachers, that sort of stuff, and instructors, which is what you're aiming to become, which is excellent. And that's about it. All right. Did you have any questions about what we've done? No? You good? All right. So that's the first one. We'll probably have another 2 or 3 of these little individual lessons before we get you to join in with the other cohort. Okay, does that sound fair?
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Awesome. Thanks very much for coming, Emmy. We'll see you next lesson.